Got the wine. Mics are on. Cameras
We
are on.
We on.
Live audience, for real, is here. The live audience.
In the building.
Welcome back. Fourth Mill Podcast, headlinermusicclub.com, brought to you by Zen, Eric Dlux, DJ5. Got a special guest in here. Before we introduce them, got to get the work done. So make sure you keep sharing it. Spread the word to your friends. Appreciate it. I know it sounds repetitive, but, you know, again, we are on YouTube. Shouts to everybody watching us. Hello.
Go like and subscribe.
Yeah, do all that on the podcast app or on Spotify. Just screenshot it and share it. That's how the word gets out,
man.
and we appreciate it. We see it all the time.
We'll repost
so thank
it.
you.
Thank
and keep
you
letting
guys.
us know any questions or topics.
Yeah, shoot
DM
'em over
us
our way.
at Headliner Music Club on the Instagram. And, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
You ready? You
We
guys
ready.
ready? Got the wine? What's our new crew?
Corkage Fee Boys.
Yeah, CFB, Corkage Fee Boys, where you pull up to a spot, bring your own wine,
Yep.
and
At
get
least
the
two
$20 Corkage
bottles
fee.
minimum.
2 bottle minimum.
Yep.
This is a special episode.
Very special,
I
man.
mean, one of my favorite DJs of all time.
One of my
by
idols.
far. Idol, favorite DJ. I would say top 3 favorite DJs.
Yep.
For real.
Yeah.
And I have like cassettes to prove that. I got to find them, but
Yeah.
I 100% have cassettes of you
I
mixing
have
on the
Turn
radio.
Fable on cassette.
Melo-D, ladies and gentlemen.
Woo!
Welcome to the
Thank
podcast.
you
I would
that,
clap,
fellas.
but I have that.
Yeah, I'm gonna clap. Melo-D,
I'm glad for you guys, man.
world
No.
famous beat
DJ
junkies.
Melo. D.
I mean, wow, bro.
Thank you for
Thanks
that
for finally
intro.
coming, man.
Yeah, no,
Thank you,
I'm
man.
glad we were finally able to make it
I
happen.
know you were under the
Yeah.
weather last time. We were
I
supposed to
was.
link up.
Yeah. I feel
Feeling
like a
better?
few of us were. A lot
Did
of
you
people
shake the
were.
coronavirus?
I shook it. I beat it. I beat it.
All right, good. Because now we'll drink more wine. What are we drinking? Niner? What is this?
I don't know.
Niner-
something
Bang
from
Bang Niner
La
Gang wine?
Bodega next door. So.
La Bodega.
Pretty good, though.
Yeah, it's
I'm
a
with it.
$20 bottle. Scored 4.1 on my Vivino app.
Yeah.
You know.
20 ball goes a long
It's not
way.
an ad, by the way, but
Yeah, it's not an ad because we paid for the wine. Damn it.
they need to definitely give us a
Sponsor
Reciprocate.
us?
Yeah.
Mello, so much to talk about, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember the first time I heard Melo-D. Well, see, I started DJing in like 97, 98, right?
Okay.
And for me, there was no YouTube, no, there's obviously radio.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, DJing and learning was watching VHS cassettes.
All day.
And I would watch cassettes of you, whether it's DMC or just some other Beat Junkies videos. And like watching these videos, to me, you guys were like movie stars.
Yep.
You, Babu, Rhythmatic, like, I mean, all you guys
Thanks,
were
man.
legit like celebrities in my eyes, bro.
Yeah.
Because like I remember the first time I went to Fat Beats, the one on Vermont, the first one, and Rhythmatic was there, like ringing me up,
Yeah.
and I was like,
Yeah.
hold on, what? I don't understand this. Like, this is Rhythmatic from the Beat Junkies. How
Yeah.
is he working here? Like, it shit
Yeah.
was crazy to me, bro.
Yeah.
And like, I think DJ Ron and Echo took me. That was my
Okay.
first time at Fat Beats, and this
Okay.
shit was insane. So you guys were like big celebrities. I mean, you still are, obviously. But like, I'm just going back when I was a 17-year-old kid.
92, 93.
Yeah.
And then I really started paying attention to radio mixing when I met like Echo. And then I knew he was like, I didn't know much about mixers on radio. And I like started hearing him. And then I started hearing Vice. And then I started hearing Mr. Chalk. And it was a rough thing because I believe at one point you and Chalk were on at the same time at
Yeah.
night.
Yeah, probably.
'Cause
Or
you were
pretty
on-
close or like
Was
few
it the
minutes
9 o'clock
apart or-
bomb? Or what was it, the mix you did with Julio G at night? I know it was a
Yeah.
long time ago.
My time slot changed a few times over
Okay.
the years because we were there for, I think, 7 years, Julio and I together. But I think originally it started at 7, and then they moved it to like 8 o'clock. And then, so I basically, over the years, I played a 7 o'clock, an 8 o'clock, and a 9 o'clock slot.
So just for people that don't know or younger people, you were on 92.3 The Beat, which was like a legendary LA hip hop station. I mean, like Tupac was coming through there with Theo.
Good times. Yeah.
I mean, it's legendary, bro.
Yeah.
So I would listen to Mello every night
Yeah.
and
Wow.
record him.
Thank you for that.
And I can't even understand to tell people how. I mean, they'll know now because they'll go to your Instagram and see how flawless you are. But this is on the radio where people know LA radio. I mean, there's a lot of markets that are live, but there's a lot of markets that aren't.
Right.
LA radio, and I came from it later, but like it's live radio
Yeah.
with real mixing, and there's no room for error.
Oh, yeah.
Any mistake, you can hear it.
Yep. sure.
Do you think that was the start of your like perfectionism? Like, cause you are like a perfect fucking DJ, bro.
No, I make mistakes like everybody else. But
I don't believe it.
no, I have the video to prove it. I just don't share it. But no, I think I've been asked this question over the last 5 years, and I think we're honestly like thinking back where that really comes from is just going to school and being such a bookworm. Yeah. Like I went to an accelerated high school. We took a lot of
Whitney High.
We took a lot of college prep classes, and that kind of like really at an early age really just kind of I feel like just shaped me to just really like just be as tight with my school game, as possible. And I think that just carried over into my musicality as a young adult. Just really trying to just be as sharp every time. And I actually. Thinking back, I drew a lot of inspiration from all types of DJs, but I remember like in the early 90s, I was always just fascinated and just in awe of like the DJs from Japan, like the legends, like Honda, Tashi, GM Yoshi. They were always, and even to this day, like 2020, like the DMC champs, even a lot of the Japanese DJs, there's this kid Coco out there now that plays 45. Dude, these kids do not miss a beat. And I think that always like, there was always such a big takeaway there for me technically. You know what I mean? I was like, these guys, they performed like robots, man, but they were funky. They had flow. They had mad dope routines, and it just like it was very inspiring to me. And I think between the art of DJing, what it was back then, and like I said, just like growing up and being schooled the way I was, like as a student, I think fusing those things together kind of like shaped me into who I am when I perform a set or a mix or a video or whatever it is.
So I feel like we normally don't do this type of format, but like it's always like topics. But I'm so interested in and such a fan of yours where I kind of want to go back to like what got you into DJing, how it started. Like I want to go to day one, bro. Like how old were you? What were your like influences or
so I'm 46. I was born in 73, and we always kind of, the way I grew up, we always had music in the house. So my mom and dad they were from the 60s. That was kind of like their heyday, their high school. So, this is, they grew up on like rock and roll, oldies. So they always had, both of them as kids, my mom and my dad, they had their own 45 collections.
Nice.
So my dad's was mostly like rock and roll, some soul records. My mom had a little bit of everything. She had like the Beatles. She had ballads like oldies, like Angel Baby, My Boyfriend's Back, Motown stuff. So I was always kind of exposed to the music that they grew up on. And then, fast forward to the late 70s, my mom got really into disco. So we always had those 45s, the hits, Foxy Get Off, Bee Gees. I remember we went to the drive-in. Like, I remember going 4 times when I was 4 years old, I think, when Saturday Night Fever came out. And I never finished. I just remember falling asleep. But they were my mom was super into disco. And so there was that music. And then to answer your question, like fast forward to like the early 80s. So this is when like, on the West Coast out here, you had kind of like, techno hop, hip hop, Ice-T, Reckless, Egyptian Lover. So I was just like, the first song, Kraftwerk, like here in Tour de France, like right away, I was just like, what is this? You know what I mean? It's just like, I was just mesmerized, by the sound. It's time, This is like 83, 84. And then you had K-Day, 1580 K-Day. So this is like, shout out to Tony G, all the OG K-Day mix masters. These were the guys that pioneered the art of mix show. So they were taking all this music that I was, growing up on just as a young kid, like 5th or 6th grade, breakdancing made its way out to the West Coast, 83, 84. So I think all these things, again, put together, just being exposed to the music, even hip hop, the Fat Boys, Malcolm McLaren, Buffalo Gals, Roxanne Shante, the Juice Crew out in the East Coast, like all these things put together. Just really, I was just drawn into the culture, the hip hop culture. And then fast forward to 85 or 86 maybe, my first junior high school dance at Whitney. I was 7th grade, and it was my man. Shout out to DJ Curse. This was the first time I ever saw a mobile DJ, which was huge back in the 80s. A lot of us out here on the West Coast from the 80s kind of cut our teeth on, birthday parties, house parties, quinceañeras, cotillions, all that stuff, lugging the crates of records, the speakers, the
People
coffins.
don't know about that no more.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Now as we just show up with a backpack coffins. And like, we haven't made.
Bringing like a backpack is like bringing too much.
I mean, there still is mobile DJs. It's not take anything away from them, but like, the record days, the crates,
No, we were bringing
more.
systems. Like,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of times it was like a caravan of like 3 or 4
I was
cars,
part of
like-
that whole thing. I used to help this guy named Rick from WP Records out in Lomita on PCH.
Okay, so
he used
you
to
know.
do a lot of weddings, and I was like his
Heavy lifting,
assistant.
bro.
Yeah.
Bro, take the big old Crown Vegas. What are they?
Sherwin Vegas.
Sherwin Vega joints, the big like box sub and
Yeah.
all kinds and just coffins.
What was it called? The earthquake or something?
Oh,
I think it
yeah,
was called
yeah.
the
I think it was,
Earthquake.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
a bass cabinet, right?
Because
Is it the earthquake?
Because I grew up in Cerritos too.
Yep.
And I was friends with Havoc's brother,
Mhm.
and that was my first exposure
Scott,
to
his brother Scott.
No,
Oh, his younger brother.
Greg.
Oh, okay.
Because I
okay.
was like, I went to elementary school with him, so
Okay.
I used to hear Keith DJing all the time. But
Yep. So
yeah.
you were exposed early on too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Damn.
For sure.
So
Cerritos,
yeah, but my exposure to the mobile DJ scene and seeing Curse, like, you know,
Yeah.
so this was the first time I seen, you know, an actual live DJ coffin 2 Technics
Yeah.
1200s, Newmark, whatever it was,
Yeah.
1650, line switch, the Sherwin Vegas, the lights, the whole shenanigans.
So before that, you didn't really pay attention to DJing. You were just like into the music.
I had one of my elementary school friends, Brian. His older brother was a DJ.
Okay.
I remember seeing, like, glancing, like going to, you know, hang out with him at his house once, like walking by his brother's room and kind of like just getting like
Yeah.
literally a 2-second glance at what is that, and seeing a turntable
Same
or
thing,
turntables,
yeah.
but I never knew what it was.
Okay.
And then actually when I bought the Malcolm McLaren record
Yeah.
with Buffalo Gals, if anyone knows that record, you
And you
turn it
hear the
over,
little- yeah.
it's got a picture of him like in the DJ studio with
Yeah.
a setup of 2 turntables and an old, I think,
Wow.
GLI mixer. And I was
Wow.
like, oh, so this is how they're mixing
Yeah.
so seamlessly from song to song without having to stop the music or letting a record just cold end, you know, and then there being 2 seconds of
Yeah,
silence
yeah.
and then the next song starts. So then when I saw Curse in '86, I was just blown away by the whole experience. I
Yeah.
mean, the loud sound system,
The
the
loud-
lights, the music, you know what I mean? Whatever was
people
hot at
dance.
the time, the Latin freestyle, hip hop, planet rock, Kraftwerk,
yeah.
you know what I mean? West Coast stuff, everlasting bass, like, and so loud, like just bass in your face, you know what I mean? Like hitting you in the chest. Like, I was the kid that like was just kind of like, you know, ignoring girls the whole night. I was just watching. I was just
For
geeking
sure.
out the whole time
This
watching
is
Curse.
85, you said?
86, probably 86. Yeah, 86. Oh, maybe 85 or 86.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, yeah, seventh grade. So,
Damn.
Wow.
and then from that point on, it was just like I was obsessed. I was
Yeah.
obsessed with just all of it.
And then when did
know?
you finally get your own setup?
So 87, I didn't get a setup, but you know, turntables weren't cheap back in the day.
Nah.
You know, and you
You're
know,
still not.
yeah, no, for sure. But I was basically begging my parents for
Yeah.
like, you know, a setup. But to get that was like, we're talking like, you know, G's, you know
Yeah.
what I'm
Back
saying?
then,
Like,
yeah.
so they're like, you know, and then now I understand as a parent myself, like, you know, something like that, whether it's, you know, an instrument or a sport, as a parent, some of these things, I mean, they can be costly. So you want to make sure that your child is kind of committed to this,
Committed to it.
you know,
I
versus
even
like a
think-
skateboard where like you'll
and
skate
back-
for like a
yeah.
week and then like, oh, you're done
And you're
with
over
it, you know?
And back then, like, parents didn't know that you know, how many years later you're still be doing it and making money off of it. Like,
Yeah.
they didn't think there was a future in it.
Of
you know?
course. I mean, it's
I don't
just
think, and that's the kind of the beauty of why we came so far is because we didn't know that either.
Exactly.
So that's when you know
Exactly.
it was real because it
Yeah.
came from the heart. It wasn't like
Exactly.
oh shit, you can make money off this.
Yeah.
Let's try
Yeah.
it.
That
Nah,
wasn't-
we
yeah.
didn't know.
Definitely didn't set out to be a club DJ.
No,
you know,
I don't
make
think
a
like
career.
the three of us sitting in this
No,
room, that was
at
never
all.
part of our thought process,
At
right?
all.
Like we just,
I just wanted to scratch.
yeah, exactly,
Bro,
exactly.
seriously, I just wanted to be like you.
we just wanted to be ill.
I
We
just want to be like
wanted-
Melo-D on these VHSs that I'm watching. It's crazy.
No, I feel like we all kind of share that. I think that's why the three of us like we click so well because
Yeah.
it's just like, you know, we always wanted to be dope and just be sick and like be able to just step
Yeah.
up and serve, you
For
know.
sure.
But yeah, so my parents in '87 they got me one Technique 1200, you know, just to get me a
Yeah.
turntable, and then I kind of just, you know, I rigged up kind of a makeshift DJ system. I had my dad's old, you know, home stereo system. He
Yeah.
had a cassette deck and a receiver that had an aux mode, a phono,
Yep,
a
yep.
cassette, a line. I figured out a way to kind of scratch, like turning the knob, and
Yeah.
I figured out a way to play the cassettes that I had, the mixtapes that I had, and the, you know, the half created records that I had to my name. Just, you know, throw those on and try and teach myself how to mix.
Wow.
Again, this is obviously pre-YouTube, pre-internet.
Oh, you
there was no like tools or resources
Nothing.
back then. So it was much different. The learning curve was much wider than it is today.
For sure.
But yeah, all the while, like you said, Five, just like really just obsessed with just being good, man, and just really wanted to learn and just, you know, trying to absorb it all. Like, and there was just so much. Hip hop is so deep rooted, like, you know, with DJing, with, you know, b-boying, graffiti, like, you know, just the culture is just like I've always just been in love with it. And yeah, I think that's part of the reason why I'm still here.
And
today.
I feel like you are like, you know, rest in peace to Kobe, but like you are very much the DJ that has that Mamba mentality. Because I used to hear things before I met you. I think Echo used to be like, I'm like, how's Melo so clean? He's like, bro, like, I think he was like, oh, he has insomnia, and I didn't even know what insomnia meant. He was like, he has insomnia, so he just scratches all night.
Yeah.
Or like his girl's asleep or something, like.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this
But
is
even
crazy.
like during like, I mean, fast forward to like the club days in Body English, and you told me like, I was like, yeah, I practiced like 3 hours for the set. I'm like, for real?
Yeah.
Like you legit like, and that's what I love about it is like you still love to practice.
Yeah,
and that's
man.
the thing that a lot of people don't really do anymore. And I'm guilty of it, you know, like.
We all are, though. We all go,
Yeah.
like, have our phases, our moments, you know, like me included. But, yeah, no, for sure. I definitely, there's moments where it's just, like, sometimes, this is another conversation, but, like, you know, with the whole club game, you know what I mean? It's kind of part of the reason I stepped away because it just started to feel like work, and I lost interest, and I was just getting bored with that lane, you know what I mean? That style of DJ set.
We can talk about that, but let's fast forward. You're DJing. Let's get into Beat Junkies. Like, how did that start? And what kind of motivated that? Were you part of the whole initial, like the first beginning of the whole crew?
I was there
Like,
early on, but
did it exist already when you were on board, or did you?
No, I was
start
one
it?
of the original members.
Okay, cool.
So that basically, again, so I graduated high school in '91, and then you know when I started college down in Orange County, UC Irvine, that same year. You know, with college, you have a lot more freedom. You're not like committed to being on campus 5 days a week from 8 a.m. to whatever 3:30 p.m. And that's kind of where you know your mentality gets a little, your responsibility levels gets tested. You know
For
what I
sure.
mean? Like you don't show up to class, they don't take roll. You know what I'm saying? That's on you.
Yeah.
So, but again, you're able to kind of like shape your own schedule. So anyhow, I went from you know being a bookworm 5 days a week to being a bookworm 2.5, maybe 3 days a week down at UCI. So it afforded me a lot more time to kind of just maneuver and really just dive deeper into DJing and into the art form.
Mm-hmm.
And so by this time I had, you know, 4 years of, you know, bedroom experience and a few gigs
So
under
you've
my
been
belt.
DJing for 4 years at this point.
Yeah. And so now I could scratch a little bit. All the scratches that I was always like just confused by, I had kind of figured out. And, you know, I studied whatever I could. I had a car, so I was able to go out and record shop and meet up with some other DJs. I clicked up with another mobile crew, so I was a little more active, like as a live DJ.
Okay.
And so it was good timing. And I've actually talked about this with the guys.
Is this like Legends? Were Legends around?
So this
then?
is like, Legend Entertainment.
Yep.
Shout out to IC Ice.
Yep.
So I met Rhett Matic and IC Ice. This is 91 after I graduated. And, you know, I was kind of making, I wouldn't say noise, but, you know, I was doing a lot of house parties in Cerritos, like just kind of like after I graduated high school. And I guess the word kind of spread that I'd gotten decent, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so Rhett Matic, IC Ice, and Curse, like being local mobile DJs, I guess that, you know, my name came across their desk. And so anyhow, Rhett Matic and IC Ice invited me to the house party out in Carson. And that was the first time they ever saw me DJ. And I think I DJ'd maybe 10, 15 minutes using records or whatever. And then...
crazy that I'm from Carson. Like all this is happening in my
Oh, yeah, that's
neighborhood.
right.
That's crazy.
That's the hood right there.
I didn't even know. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Hell
So
yeah.
that's where Ice is from. So
That's crazy.
shit.
Yeah,
So-
I knew that's where he was from, but like just to see like you went to a party there is pretty wild.
Yeah, it was a block party actually.
I was there
remember
yesterday
We
in
were DJing
Carson.
in this. Yeah, okay.
Nice.
Yeah, home turf.
Hell yeah.
for sure. So we were DJing this house party, and so I did that, and then kept in contact with. I think back in the day it was pagers or whatever. So
Yeah.
we kept in contact, you know, and then that was it. Rhett pretty much. That's what it was. They were doing. So Rhett, his mobile crew, Curse's mobile crew, and who else was it? There was a third mobile crew. I'm drawing a blank right now, but they formed kind of this mobile DJ crew super group called United Kingdom.
Yeah.
So they were doing clubs. This is like 91, 92, 93 out here in Hollywood, like way back.
Wow.
And
It
we're
was like
talking
92.
This is like
91?
90, maybe 92.
So I know the one from Cerritos was Prestige Sounds or something.
that was Havoc's crew.
That was Havoc's
Yeah,
crew,
yeah.
right?
He wasn't part of UK.
Oh, not yet. Okay.
But yeah, but UK was pretty much like DJ Curse, Rhett Matic,
Right.
Paul the Man,
Yeah.
DJ What. Those were kind of, and Dr. Bombay, Arun. And then they had like, you know, they had a whole squad. They were like 20, 25 deep.
Damn.
You know, this guy had the lights, this guy had the
Yeah, yeah,
speakers.
Yeah.
Curse had the records.
That's
Red
kind of
had
how it was
records.
back then.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
all the homies
Even in
had
Vegas,
to have
yeah.
one thing.
Yeah.
You had the lights, cool,
Yeah.
and you just
Yeah.
because
That's how
it's so
you
hard,
had
expensive
the
to have
Like
everything.
Voltron, yeah. You had
It's
to form, like-
impossible to have the whole setup
No, that
back
was
then.
cake back then for sure.
For sure.
So they were doing this club out here in Hollywood, off of Hollywood Boulevard. I forget the name of the actual venue, but the night was called Spice.
Okay.
So it was formatted very similar to what you see today in 2020.
Was it at the Tropicana?
It was no.
That's where I met Scythe.
Okay. So this was 2 rooms. They had a main room, which was like where they played like all the dance music, all the 80s funk,
Yeah, yeah.
disco, R&B, some hip hop, and then they had a smaller room that was dedicated, had 4 turntables, and that was where it was like kind of like the underground space where it was like
Okay.
Curse, J-Rock, Rhett, they would all just bring crates of records and just go for broke. Like they weren't trying to rock the dance floor.
Yeah.
They were just getting busy.
Yeah, they're
right?
trying to
Playing-
show off and impress
playing
other
the joints.
DJs.
Yeah, and it
killing
was like, smaller room, held maybe like 250, 300.
Man.
But that's where I went every Thursday. And so finally, like I was always, again, that nerd, like I was like the first to show up, last one to leave,
Yeah.
Mamba mentality. I'm telling you.
So you weren't crew yet, right? You were just
No, I wasn't crew, but I knew who all those guys were,
Right,
and I
right.
knew Rhett a little bit. I knew Ice a little bit, but again, because I was showing up religiously, like church, like every Thursday, right? Curse, shout out to Curse once again. Like he finally came up to me like that 4th or 5th Thursday night, and just like before the night even started, he was just like, "Hey man, you're here every week. Like, why don't you bring a bag of records next week?" And I was just like, Psh,
So dope.
"Man, wow,
Wow.
thank you, yes,
Nice.
I would love to, And so I did that same thing, played for maybe 10, 15 minutes, and they were all there. The fellas, Rhett, J-Rock, Curse, and thankfully I had a decent set and left an
Were you
impression
nervous?
with them. Hell yeah,
Yeah.
hell yeah, 200% nervous.
Yeah.
and you came all the way
And
from Irvine.
from Cerritos.
From Cerritos,
Yeah, I
okay.
still lived at mom and dad's
Yeah.
the whole time. But so yeah, I mean, we all clicked, and then like I said, I felt like maybe I left a little impression with those guys, and they kind of just all took me under their wing. A year later in '92, J-Rock had this idea, because now at this point we're all better connected. We're hanging out a little bit more. We're record shopping together. We're practicing at Curses 3-4 nights a week
Wow.
over at his crib. I'm stopping to visit J-Rock on my way to and from school,
Yeah.
occasionally cutting class, like to hang out with him.
Yep.
And he would just he basically, that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah,
But J-Rock
J-Rock's a
showed me
beast.
the ropes on mixing,
Yeah.
on record
He's
digging,
another
on buying
beast, man.
records. Like, dude, beast. Like to this
Beast.
day, like
He's
king,
a beast.
king stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyhow, like a year later, J-Rock had this idea, like, we're hanging out all the time, you know what I mean? We're doing gigs together, like we're shopping together, we're cutting it up, we're practicing, like let's just form a crew. And that's how the Beat Junkies was born.
Who came up with the
So-
name? I love the name
He did.
so much. He did?
J-Rock did, yeah.
Nice.
I actually read that in rap pages
Oh,
back
okay.
in 4 or 5.
Yeah, probably around
That
that
whole
time.
spread. That was so
Mid-90s.
dope. Like, damn.
Yeah.
You remember those?
They came from Cerritos.
Yeah, it was like it came from Cerritos, and then like that, like pickles on it and all that.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
might still have that.
Herb, or was it Herb Magazine?
No, it was-
Rap Pages.
It was rap pages. It was
yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
Herb too. Herb like used to cover you guys a lot too back in the days.
Yeah.
But-
But anyhow, like that's how the Beat Junkies was born.
Yeah.
92.
That's amazing.
And we're still here.
1992.
Like we're still here all together.
Yeah.
Like all
So
brothers,
dope, man.
and
still here killing it.
trying to just keep push the.
What's
art
crazy
and,
is like I don't want to jump too forward. We can go back, but like I don't think kids or students of your guys' school understand how like lucky
Yeah.
they are. Like if you, we'll get into the details of the Beat Junkies sound, but like if you told me back then that that I can go to a school and like be taught by Melo-D,
Yeah.
Mr. Chalk, Repmatic, Babu, J-Rock. Like, are you kidding? You can't even put a price on that.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm sure there's some people because of the internet do some research and they understand who you guys are, but I'm sure there's a few that really don't. Is that fair to say?
that's pretty accurate. That's fair to say. I mean, it just
Dude, like if this is insane.
I mean, even for you guys, I'm sure, right? Like you said, you started. I mean, you're 2 decades plus deep. Like you, close to 3.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure there's like kids at the club that have no idea. Like
Nah,
the
we
blood,
don't
sweat, and
compare to
tears
you.
y'all put in.
We don't
compare.
y'all put in on the set. Like you know what
Nah,
I mean?
yeah.
It just it's
it's
crazy.
different, bro. Like you don't understand how different it is.
Yeah, no, I was there for a while. Like I know I can relate, but yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's just and that's expected, But at the same time, I feel like, that's part of it's part of what keeps us humble. You know
For
what I mean?
sure.
It's just like,
Yeah.
not that we have anything to prove or chip on our shoulder. What, you don't know the Beat
Yeah,
Junkies
yeah.
or who we are? But like, I mean, every time we start a new course, just to kind of put it into perspective, every time we start a new course, right? Let's say it's our intro to DJing program, which runs for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's basically for like total beginners, right? We walk you through kind of the most rudimentary scratch techniques. We give you like a solid overview of the equipment, how to operate it, what controls what, you know, a lot of muscle memory, a lot of technique, control, all the things that go into being a good DJ, at least to start, and have a good understanding of what goes into potentially becoming a good DJ. But even, you know, my point being, even at the introduction to that course, like, you know, we talk a little bit about who we are. You know, we're born and bred out here, Southern California crew, 1992. We did A, B, C, D in the 90s. We did, you know, E, F, G in the early 2000s. And that's it. We keep it moving, you know, because some people might not know, you know, and not that we're over here trying to like toot our own horn, but,
you know, you have to.
just to kind of give them some insight into what the Beat Junkie Institute of Sound is and how
so
it
let's
was
talk
born.
about that. So let people know exactly. There might be some people listening that are interested in DJing but might not dive in yet. You know, there's an opportunity to like go get taught by the goats.
Legends.
So yeah, we have a brick and mortar out here. It's a physical spot. It's in Glendale, California. It's called the Beat Junkie Institute of Sound. We opened doors in April of 2017, so we're coming up on 3 years old.
Yeah. Wow.
But we are a DJ school, an instructional DJ school. And when I say DJ school, we operate just like that, meaning that we prepare curriculum. We have lessons on paper. There's lesson plans. There's group activities. There's individual
quizzes.
activities. There's quizzes. Yeah. So at the end of every level, we have our main program is called the Foundation Program. It's spread out over 8 levels. And at the end of each level, each student has to perform a final. So, you know, what that translates into is they have to come up and stand on stage where we instruct from and perform a set for us to be graded and for their fellow classmates. So it's basically like...
I've been DJing over 20 years and I still wouldn't perform a set in front of you guys.
No, you know what's funny?
I still would be like, nah, I'm good.
We were talking off camera, and this is something that's really kind of like come more to the surface after teaching, is that a lot of the students, that's the first thing they express a lot, is this like, oh, I'm nervous, you know, because they're coming up, and it's just like, it's one thing when they're in their own cubicle, their own workspace, and no one's bothering them, and maybe like the instructors were coming around and checking on them, like making sure like they're executing correctly, and do you guys need help or whatever. That's one thing, but to get up and face the room, I mean, even if we're talking, when I say the room, we're talking 17, 18 people, you know, like classmates and instructors and a few staff, you know, but it's really nerve-wracking for them.
Oh, 100%.
So, but just again, like, I feel like one thing that's cool and maybe unique about the Beat Junkie Institute of Sound is that I like to think of what we do as like a school. It's part lecture, part exercise. So we spend a lot of time dialoguing about all the things that come with DJing and the culture. And we spend a lot of time exercising, drilling, performing.
I love how you said off the mic when we're just having a chat, how the first couple of weeks, you teach them vinyl. How to mix on vinyl.
So the first half of the program.
The first half.
So basically like first 6 months.
That's so important. Like
vinyl.
People don't.
Yeah.
They like learn how to DJ. They'll match the BPMs on the Serato and think they can just, that's what it's about. Right. But like learn by your ear first.
Right.
Just, you know.
I mean, I'm sure you guys can relate to this. And the reason when I talk to that about talk to my students about that, you know, and why it's important, the reason is because, and you guys might be able to, you know, testify to this, is because when you walk in and you see a DJ, like how uncool does it look to walk in and see the DJ like doing this?
Yeah.
You know, versus staring the DJ just like
staring at
having
the
laptop off to the side.
Yeah.
In there working the backspins, whether it's a CDJ or a Technics 1200, it just looks way fresher. It just looks cooler. It's better presentation. It's better stage presence. You know, at the end of the day, it's going to make you a better DJ.
For sure.
Like you're up there getting biz.
And you're watching
you know
the
what I'm saying?
crowd,
Like
too,
you're up there, one headphone or whatever it is, you know, baby scratch cute, like just looks dope, man. It's hip. That's hip hop.
Yeah. I was talking to Vice about this earlier. We had lunch and I forgot, we were talking about the crowd, like pointing out, you know, we always talk about pointing out the one dude that's trying to bum you out in the room.
I've had those too.
Yeah, we all had it. And he was like, he told me, he goes, dude, I had like some therapist like coach me through that type of situation. It was weird. Like I want to have him back on the pod, but I told him I remember being at a club at Circus behind the arena with Danny Dice and my brother. We went to see Vice.
Circus.
Nautica de la Cruz was like hosting. This
it's like
OG shit.
Late 90s.
This
early
is
2000s.
like late 90s.
Yeah, I remember the
And
Circus.
he was DJing and like he was wearing glasses back then. And the whole time he's DJing and like always just looking up and holding up his glasses and looking up and looking up.
Yeah.
And I do like nowadays you see people, their eyes are glued to the laptop.
Yeah.
And like you said, it just doesn't look fresh. Like it just looks like, it looks more like, if you know how it shows how nervous they are or unsure, unconfident, really, you know?
Right. And it just, I mean, I think ultimately, like, you know, it just, at the end of the day, it just creates a major disconnect between you and the room.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, clearly, like, they can just look up, you know, 2 or 3 times and see that you're not paying attention to them. And I think that just takes a lot away from, you guys call it the energy in the room, or like, you know, the experience, you know, for the club goer.
How did you learn to like basically be good at everything? Meaning like you were an incredible radio DJ.
Thank you.
We rock clubs together. You're an incredible club DJ.
Thank you.
And you're obviously an incredible turntablist and just DJ in general.
Thanks, fellas.
It's not that easy to be the jack of all. Like, you can't do it all. Like, there's not that many DJs that have all that like locked in. Yeah. How did you get to that level? Obviously from practice, but like, how were you able to be the guy practicing your scratches and your routines and juggling, you know, for a cassette tape that you guys are filming, be on the radio with the playlist and in a room with just you and Julio G, you don't see an audience, but millions of people are listening, to a Vegas club at the Hard Rock in Las Vegas, and you're rocking with different music that you're not playing. Obviously, I think Vegas came after the beat, and you know, but you still were able to adapt to every style of DJing, and like, that's very impressive, man.
Thank you. You know, it's funny. This is gonna sound funny, and you hit it on the head, man. And it's not rocket science. It's just practice.
It's just practice.
I'm just like, I just practice to death.
But how would you practice, like, not to cut you off, how would you practice a club set if you're not like in your room? Like, if you know, because being a good club DJ has a lot to do with reading the crowd. Yeah. And I think that kind of goes with turntablist, because you are in front of a crowd and really trying to get their reaction and like, oh shit, like you're trying to impress a room. Sure. Did that help? Maybe club DJ?
Yeah, probably subtly, now that you bring it up.
Yeah.
But I think I know for me, like I said, I just I've always just come from this place of just wanting to be just prepared.
Yeah.
Sometimes, most times, over prepared. You know, sometimes that backfires because I'll be over prepared, and it's just like, how do I put it into words? I'm over prepared, and so it's like, I've almost exposed my mind to too much, like too many different directions. I guess I could go, and I get lost in that. But
especially in a Vegas club where
anything
they could
can
throw you off
happen,
any second with the
For
bottle
sure.
presentation.
No, but even with
even
that,
but even before though, like you had like, I think you had like a tryout in Vegas, right?
I had 3.
But you would come
It's just like body
and hang out with me.
English,
Yeah, you would come hang out with me and just see what I was doing.
Yeah.
And like just
Mamba mentality,
yeah, of
bro.
course, yeah.
No, I'm a student of the. I mean, to this day, I'm a student, man. Like, it's
That's
just
amazing,
like,
bro.
And one thing we talk about this at school too is like, I don't know if you guys agree or disagree, but I feel like, you know, DJing and just anything with the creative arts, it's like, it's ever changing, it's constantly evolving, and I truly believe, like, with DJing specifically, because that's all I can speak to, there's really no finish line. Like, you're never gonna like really like be crowned with that black belt. Like,
For sure.
you
Especially.
mastered it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Never.
Like, it's just always growing. It's always changing. And, you know, it's just one of those things. Like, again, I'm passionate about it. I love the shit that we do.
Yeah.
I love all facets. I love the turntablism, obviously. I love fucking collecting records. Yeah. I love being in the club, hearing y'all motherfuckers just rip it down. I love it all, and I appreciate it because I truly believe there's skill in everything.
Yeah.
For sure.
You know? And thank you for that compliment. But I've never considered myself... I've considered myself a well-rounded DJ, and I know that has a lot to do with the influences around me. Being part of the Beat Junkies has definitely like cast a lot of weight on that.
You've even done some TV stuff.
Like,
Vibe TV.
Yeah.
How was that?
That was fun. Yeah, that was a great experience. You know, shout out to the Baker Boys because they're the ones that pretty much put my name in that hat.
Awesome.
So yeah, that was great. It was.
I used to
fun
watch that religiously because you were on.
Do you have a favorite, like, whether, you know, it's club DJing, radio DJing? I know some of the stuff you're not involved in anymore, but like, or turntablism, or even being a teacher. Like, I'm sure like the teacher part is the most fulfilling because you're like passing game to the next generation. That's always like a plus, which is kind of why we do this podcast, is like new people, younger DJs, or some OG DJs, but they're listening,
Right.
and you always gonna catch something new
For
or
sure.
something that you relate to.
For sure, it's
So I can
informative.
imagine that being very fulfilling. But like, if there's a favorite, would it be like turntablism, or was your radio days your favorite, or was it your Vegas days the favorite?
You know, if I put myself in all those places, all those spaces over the last 3 decades or whatever, like, I'd have to say that I enjoyed everything equally. I mean, like I said, like there's skill in everything. So like using the nightclub stuff, Hard Rock as an example. So when the Hard Rock grew, right, and we were there rocking 3-4 nights a week. So I would fly in on a Thursday, and I'd be hanging out with Five and the homies like throughout the weekend, and I'd fly
Playing
back here to
poker,
LA on Sunday. Yeah, all that stuff. But during those 4 or 5 days, I don't know if I ever told you this, but I actually had a setup that I would leave at the bell desk downstairs.
No way.
So when I would check in, you know, I'd tip the bell guy $10, whatever, like bring my gear up to the room. I'd set it up. So that was my workstation. I just practiced in the headphones.
Great.
That's-
Mamba
when I would-
mentality.
Crazy,
Bro,
dude.
No, that's and then when I would fly home, same thing, call the bell guy, and then he would come pick it up.
So you
bring
would
back
leave it in
downstairs.
Vegas?
I would leave it
Oh,
at the
wow.
hotel.
Holy
yeah.
That's
shit.
preparation.
So actually, I had one turntable and a Rain 56.
Ah, okay.
Because that's what we were using at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had an extra mixer or whatever. But yeah, that was just to kind of just keep me sharp. And then, you know, there's
That's
always
crazy.
a couple cuts coming out, like, you know,
Yeah.
on the different record pools back in the day. Like, you just, you know, we're resident DJs. You want to change it up a little bit.
Yeah,
for sure.
You
that
know,
was the challenge. It still is, you know, just trying to
so
keep
I
it
would-
fresh.
I would spend a lot of hours, like, especially on, I think, Fridays, like back in the day when I was the headliner at Body English, like, definitely like the 2 hours before the set, I was upstairs, like literally sitting in the chair,
Yeah.
one turntable, the mixer.
I remember you did tell me. Yeah,
one-
you did tell me that.
Yeah, one internal
And
mode.
I was tripping out.
And same thing with, you know, turntablism and like the routines everybody sees me do on Instagram from time to time.
Yeah.
Those are choreographed. Like, I mean, I'm not going to front, you know what I'm
Did
saying?
you ever battle like DMC battles? I know
did-
you've done
yeah,
showcases,
DMC, I
but did
did.
you like
Yeah, I
battle?
remember those.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
competed, all of us together, individually and as a team. We competed heavily, like for 5 years from the early to late 90s,
Damn.
for sure. And that's what kind of catapulted
To
us
me,
into radio. And,
turntablism is like would seem like the heart. It kind of seems like stand-up comedy. Like you really got to impress the
that's
room.
for sure.
Like they're really just, what do you have to do? And like impress me.
Yeah, but I
make me
think-
laugh type of for the comedian, right? But for you guys, it's like it's a room full of DJs for the most part that
Yeah.
are probably talented, probably just fans of the turntablism. But like that seems like the hardest thing to do.
I think technically that's without a doubt, hands down, the most challenging. Like I said, there's skill in mixing and I've seen both you guys just beast and beat the club up, like, you know, real creative, like, you know, wordplay and sets and transitions and stuff like that. And there's skill in that too.
Thank you.
You know, yeah, no, all day.
Thank
You know what I
you,
mean?
yeah.
That's why you guys are who you guys are. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I appreciate all of it. Like, I mean, part of me kind of misses being part of that circuit, but that's, like I said, a whole other conversation. But I definitely, like I said, like, cut my teeth at the Hard Rock and, you know, played some other places, worked with some other folks out in Vegas and some other venues and nightlife companies and stuff. And I'm grateful for all of it. Like, I enjoyed every single night. I mean, occasionally, like, again, I can't front, like, you know, maybe on that third night or like that last day, like it would feel like work for whatever reason.
Yeah,
or I'd just be
sure.
burnt on
Just
the
get burnt
music,
out
or
a
like,
little
oh
bit.
man,
Yeah.
I'm stale on my own set.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But stuff like that, I feel like happens to all of us. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, I mean, it's just like, we're all just so blessed to like, just, you know, be a part of this community and be a part of this.
Do you
this
feel like
scene.
you got burnt out of the club scene? Because I know you kind of like left that off to the side.
I didn't get burnt out on the scene. I got burnt out on the music.
The music.
Is what did it to me. You know, the last, and I had a great setup with Scam and with Hakkasan and Omnia. I was rotating basically between those two
that's
rooms,
right.
and you know, I was playing pretty frequently, maybe like, I don't know, 16, close to 20 dates a year, like on a
Yeah.
busy year, you know,
Yeah.
around my other gigs or whatever.
For sure.
But I just like, same thing. I just got really stale on the music. So let's say, for example, to put it into perspective, I would have a booking. I'd be scheduled to play, say, Omnia, March 1st, right?
Yeah.
Maybe my next date isn't until April 1st, right? So I would, you know, same thing, like practice. If my gig was on a Friday, I'd open up the laptop on Monday, you know, do my research, jump on the record pools, talk to a couple DJ homies, start kind of working on the music, the programming side of it, gather all that information, put that into my system, and then by maybe Tuesday night, Wednesday, now I'm starting to kind of like go through the music, map it, learn it, put like what I felt was like a good set, something that I could stand behind, you know, put that set together, then perform it on Friday, right? Go through all that, perform the set, and then, okay, I don't have another booking for another 30 days. I wouldn't touch that set because it's just like, that's not music that I ride to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Right,
saying? It's not
right,
what I'm
right.
listening to.
Yeah.
I'm not
You don't-
mad at it. Like, I understand why people like it. I like hearing it in the club.
For sure.
But I'm only in the club when I'm in the club.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, yeah.
So when that next booking would come around, long story short, at some point, it started to just feel like work. Because now it just felt like homework. Like, man, I'm not even really, like, my heart's not even in,
Yeah.
like, this music. Like, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of lyrically talented, like, new school, like, rappers. But it's just, like, I come from a day, I'm going to sound like the old head right now. But I come from a day when, like, there was, you know, there was a variety of styles, you know what I'm saying? Like, hip-hop was on some, like, braggadocio. And there was always, like, a message. Whether it was, like, I'm a doper MC than you, or, like, I'm going to make this political statement about whatever's happening, like, in 87 right now.
sure.
Nowadays, like, there's definitely MCs
It's
like
out
that.
there.
It's out there.
But it's not
it
in the
doesn't get
club.
the exposure that
Yeah,
it does.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
for
for
sure.
the club. The club is just all the rah-rah to me.
Yeah, if you play that
And-
stuff, you're playing for yourself.
And
pretty
those
much.
records, like, you guys know, like, the shelf life is, dude,
Quick.
6 hours.
Yeah, like you said, if your next gig is 30
Yeah.
days from now, a lot of the records you played last month
Right.
aren't.
They're
in
not
the-
hot.
They're not in
They're not
rotation
hot.
anymore.
And so, I mean, maybe I, you know, would have stuck around, you know, doing those sets, being part of that, you know, that culture. If, you know, I was into the music a little more, or maybe just expose myself to a little bit more. But it's funny. It's kind of come full circle for me because I went from, like I said, 83, growing up on like these classic electro, techno hop, collecting these records, to competing, to being part of, you know, the Vegas nightlife culture. Now I'm back to like buying records, working on Instagram for free. I don't monetize those videos.
Yeah.
That's just for me. That's
Yeah,
just
yeah, no, that's
because
for-
I love the
that's for
music,
us.
you know.
Yeah, that's for me. I enjoy those videos.
But at the same
bro.
time,
know what?
like, I'm not home and I'm broke. I'm not getting the Vegas
Yeah,
check
yeah,
anymore.
yeah.
So it's like, no.
Gambling Pete's got money.
He's bankrolling me.
But that's what I love about you, though. I love that it's not about the money. Like,
Yeah.
like
It's
you,
not.
you were able, like you were still doing Omnia, etc., other clubs. But like, if you didn't love it, you're like, you know what? I'm cool. Like,
Right.
there's a lot of people that'll hold on to it for the check, for the
money.
check,
Yeah,
for the
for
check,
sure.
and like a lot of those guys might stop a slot from someone that is hungry and excited to DJ,
True.
you know, and there's someone that's in that slot that just doesn't want to do it anymore is like kind of holding these younger kids back. So like,
Yep.
that's awesome that you did that too,
man.
bro. Like, honestly, like I really,
Thank you. I mean, like, you know, ultimately, like, now at the end of the day, like, I'm happier. You know what I mean? I'm not
Do what
doing
makes you
something.
happy, bro.
I'm not forcing anything.
yeah.
I'm the
You know
same
what
way.
I'm
I,
saying? So
like I
it's
talk
just
about
like-
it all the time. Like, I cut out a lot of gigs, and for me, it's like if I don't want to do them anymore,
Right.
if I'm not happy doing them, I'm not gonna do it. Like
Yeah.
I used to, oh shit,
Right.
paycheck,
I gotta go
pay.
get this-
I'll do everything for
What do
all
you guys?
the
What
money.
do you guys get the bag?
Exactly, go get the bag.
Get the bullseye.
But now I'm like, dude, give someone else a chance. If I don't want to be there, let someone else be there, and like etc. Like just, bro, it's
All day.
all about being happy.
All day.
It's if you just see money,
Yeah.
you're not in it for the right reasons.
And that's again, going back to what you guys said, like, that's not the reason we got into this. We got into this as fans, like,
For sure.
wanting to be like just sick. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, just dope DJs.
Yeah, we don't make money doing this podcast, but it's dope. Like
It's
giving
fun.
game.
Yeah,
You,
for sure.
I know you guys charge for the school, but like, you can't put a price on being taught by the Beat Junkie. Like that's not. Like I bet you 20 years ago, if I offered you guys to teach me, you'd be like, nah.
No, you're absolutely
It's
right.
not-
Like,
you don't have the
if you have
time,
the
and it's just
time,
not.
yeah.
There's no price on that, bro.
No, like, on some real stuff, like 20 years ago, it was more about, like, you know, everyone kind of kept their best moves up their sleeve, guarded.
For sure.
No one was sharing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And nowadays, just like, you know, there at times, like, we all kind of have mixed feelings about it. Just like, especially when you like share things with a student and they really pick up on it, and just like, wow, this person's gonna probably be better than me in 4 or 5 years. But at the same time, it's just like, that's kind of why we do this. Like, you know, at this stage in our careers, the Beat Junkies, you know, we're moving more towards kind of content and education, and we're trying to age gracefully. You know,
Do you guys do an
And,
online class?
We do. We
Okay.
have beatjunkies.tv. So
Nice.
all the lessons and curriculum that we teach here in Glendale, we've compacted them into 300 plus videos.
I'm low key gonna sign up for that.
For,
You got me a code? All right.
there he is.
But you guys are still learning too, because I noticed like
Always.
I used to like go back and forth with Babs on IG, talking about, oh dude, this new cut, what's this new cut you're doing? Because he's like his style, scratching styles, like
Yeah.
like advanced.
That's why you guys are the best, man. Like
For
you
sure.
guys still love doing
Yeah.
it, and that's all. I love that, bro.
Yeah,
love
it's
that.
fun. We're just like I said, fans of the culture, fans of the art, and just, you know, trying to do what we can to contribute to it and just keep pushing it forward.
Let me ask you a quick before we wrap up. What's the best like success story from your school? Like I know you guys have been in 3 years now. Is there anyone where like maybe you went off to do a Red Bull 3 style or you know, like is there anything like that yet?
You know,
Or someone went and got a big gig?
There's a few that have competed in kind of local competitions.
Yeah.
But off the top of the dome, the one that stands out is this is because I spoke to her recently. So this young adult woman, Isabel. She studied with us for about a year and a half, and I don't know exactly what her day job was, but she had one. And I saw her at a recent graduation, maybe December, recently, like 2-3 months ago.
Okay.
And I spoke to her for a while, and she's DJing now 3 or 4 nights a week,
Wow.
like making money, paying her bills, like
Wow.
kind of like in this place now where she's like, man, I think I'm just gonna go this full time. I'm gonna do this full time. You know, I'm happy you're doing this. You know, and I'm actually making money at it, and I could see it, and I could like feel it in conversation. Like she's just glowing with just like, you know, she
That's
never expected
amazing.
this. You know, she
That's
came.
the
to
beauty of it. Never expected it.
Yeah, totally. And
There's
she's out there doing her thing.
There was
for
actually
sure.
like a member. We do like members questions. There was one about having a job. Where was that at? There was one like basically like how do you keep a 9 to 5? Where is that shit at?
I did
All right, I'm
that
over
too.
here
Though, when
reading.
I was
Oh, here it is.
starting
Pros
out.
and cons of working a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday and DJing nights and weekends. At Alex and Alexander Crown. Sorry.
Well, that's from a listener.
From a listener, yeah, at Alexander Crown. Pros and cons of working a 9 to 5 and DJ nights and weekends. So I could talk about that because I always had a job
Yep.
and worked weekends. And then I used to work at Vespa scooters.
Oh shit.
Damn.
In the warehouse. It was like, yeah, it was like in like,
They were killing the game for
it was like in
a hot minute.
Dominguez, kind of like borderline Carson Long Beach.
Yeah.
And I would work there Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, packing, shipping,
Yeah.
mirrors and helmets, you name it, seats, like doing the whole thing, and then doing like La Mirage Thursday nights and whatever Friday, Saturday, and like getting paid peanuts.
Oh, so you were still
So
on
I had
Power.
0 days off.
You were
No,
on
it was before Power.
Oh, before Power.
So before Power. Then I got on Power, meaning on the street team.
Right.
Then I'm doing street team. So now,
That's when I met you, I think, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So then I'm doing
Yeah.
9 to 5 at Vespa. I've had other jobs way before, like tons of, you name it, I've worked there. IKEA, Ross, record stores. But yeah, so I was doing that 9 to 5, and then I was doing street team on weekends, Saturday, Sunday, and then still like La Mirage every Thursday,
Yeah.
opening for Vinyl Dave,
Hustling.
and then whatever, if I could pick up a gig on Saturday. If not, Saturday night I'd go to Echo's gig or Vice's gig,
Yep.
whatever. But every single day. And it wasn't until I got on the street team, I'm still doing everything, and then you kind of feel it. It's a gut thing. When you feel momentum coming, a couple more gigs popping up that you can't do because of your full-time
Yeah.
job, that's kind of when you know. Like, I don't think there's the right answer to like when you leave. You just kind of feel it, right?
Yep.
And I think
absolutely.
that's what happened to her. She started DJing 4 or 5 nights a week, and it's kind of like, yo,
Something's happening here.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's kind of to answer Alexander Crown's question. Is you know, there's no pros and cons. The pros is you have a steady check at the job.
Yeah.
That's the pros. Cons is you're gonna be exhausted.
You're gonna be tired.
You're
Like,
gonna be tired.
exactly. Your hours
a
are gonna
little
be
a little less
shorter.
motivated to practice and do stuff
Less
after hours.
energized.
You know,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. For sure.
But I think, you know, keep working at it, and you'll just kind of know, you'll feel it.
Yeah. So with me, I I was a student at UC Irvine. I was working as a bank teller at Wells Fargo, and then I got hired at the Beat in '95.
Yeah.
So I held on. I was obviously committed to graduating.
How old were you when
college.
you got on the beat?
22, 23,
Nice.
something like that. I was young.
Yeah.
But I held on to obviously being a student. I was committed to finishing and graduating, getting my degree. But I tried to hold on to working at Wells Fargo and working here at the Beat. So all the while, shout out to Alex. So I was living in Cerritos with my mom and dad, right? I was commuting south to Irvine to go to school. I would finish school, drive back home to Cerritos, drop off my school backpack, grab my DJ bag, drive out to Hollywood where
Wow.
the Beat was, right? And I did that for maybe a month and a half, 2 months, and finally I had to let the Wells Fargo job
Yeah.
go. But I had my manager, he was so dope, he was so good to not just me, but like the entire staff. Like, I really felt bad leaving, because he always like, for being kind of like in that world, like working at a bank in such a corporate structure, like he was a cool cucumber. You know what I'm saying? And so I was down
because
with
he
him.
knew your opportunity. Because back then, man, radio was a massive deal.
Yeah.
Oh, that was huge.
That was like,
you know what I mean? Like,
it's
I was
almost
on
like
cloud
being on
nine.
TV.
Yeah,
So he's like,
that's
damn, you're gonna be on the beat. I love
Yeah,
listening to you. Like that's nowadays. You tell someone like, oh, I'm leaving my job, I'm going to radio. They're like, huh?
Yeah, right.
Or I'm gonna start a podcast. Like what?
Yeah,
All right,
that
good
was
luck.
definitely a special time, a special opportunity for me.
It's
but-
amazing, bro.
But yeah, ultimately, like, I mean, you know, just with regard to the question, it's just like my time was just spread thin. I was young and I had energy, and I could spend, you know, all day and night driving back and forth and whatever. But yeah, at some point, you just kind of have to just like try and make sense of it all, you know. As much as I wanted to stay committed to the team down at the bank, I just I had to make a decision. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of, I guess, one of the pinches you can get in.
That's
you know,
the thing. Like you did both
constantly.
until you couldn't anymore.
Yeah.
Shit, I was at
Until the
Victoria's
wheels fall
Secrets.
off.
You worked at Victoria's Secret?
Yeah, dog. I was working at Victoria's Secrets at the Forum
I never
Shops.
knew this.
I was a stock boy, and then I was
Grabbing stocking panties.
steaming them, whatever.
Steaming panties.
Bringing them out for all the when the girls like, you know, oh, we need size 34D.
Hey.
I'll bring them down. And I was working part time at the time with Warren and Pizzo at Hip Hop.
Oh,
Shop.
yeah.
We're shipping records out
Yeah.
there once a week.
The
So,
shop, yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And then I was filling in at Babies at Hard Rock for Obi and Josh when they were out of town. And then
It was like early 2000s,
early
right?
2000s. Ended up getting my own residency for meeting people at V-Bar. So I was doing
remember that.
V-Bar like Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
Now I was making like 300 a night. So I'm like, damn, I'm making 600 a week.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's like what I make in a month at Victoria's Secret.
I was making $20 a night at La Mirage, bro.
Yeah. So yeah,
For real.
eventually, you know, I was
Right.
like,
Yeah, you made the transition.
yeah, I would have stayed at Victoria's Secret forever, but
Steaming panties.
Steven Canyon.
Now you're gonna buy a
That's tight.
Victoria's Secret
yeah.
franchise.
Damn. You don't see too many male clerks. At
Yeah,
No, I
Victoria's
wasn't a
Secret.
clerk. I was a
Yeah,
stock
back in the-
boy.
Oh, well, they're
Yeah,
employees.
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, employee, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy.
That's wild.
Yeah, and there was 3 of us. 3 dudes in the back.
Bro, let's do one more since this one you can relate to as well. This is from @Tysky, DJ Tysky. What up, Tysky? Club mixing compared to radio mixing.
There you go.
Mm.
There's a huge difference with one being drunk audience versus like radio. You know,
Sure.
People driving their
you have to
cars
be
and-
flawless.
Regular
Like,
day
what is that? What
Yeah.
happened there?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'd say a few things about that. I'd say definitely there are differences, but at the same time, they do definitely intersect and overlap, right? So going back to, you know, the way I came up, radio basically taught me the format of playing to a commercial audience, right?
100%.
You guys know the formula. It's not rocket science. You play the hit. Maybe you throw something that's the B record or not the hit,
Yep.
but you always sandwich it with the
You
hit.
always, yep.
You know, you guys know, like, and any club DJ should know, rule of thumb, like, don't go too far left or right because you can lose a dance floor
Yeah.
like that.
And
Two
that's
and a
the
half
thing, like-
records, you can start getting them sideways looks. You can
Yeah,
clear the
flip you
spot.
off, yeah.
You can just not be doing it,
Yeah.
right? And it's done. It's hard to recover from that.
Yeah, that's the thing is like even though you don't see the audience on the radio in that little ass mix room, but you know like trying to keep people from tuning out is the same way for trying to keep people from leaving a dance floor.
Yeah.
Like
It's
we
good
get
enough.
fired if you played like 4, even 3 new records in a row, brand new unfamiliar records in a row. It's over for you. And the same thing if you play 3 unfamiliar records in a club, people are like, "What the hell is this?"
Radio, you guys follow like a list you guys have to play from, right?
There's a playlist, but you have the freedom of bouncing around the way you want.
Yeah.
But it's up to you to know, aside from tempo, obviously, but like, you know, recurrence, you have more freedom, you have a wider range. But like, you still have to know, like, all right,
Yeah.
this Tupac record or Snoop record is gonna work because that's our demographic on the radio. That's what they like, right? So it definitely, like, you're right. It definitely teaches you how to like work a room without even knowing it.
Right.
Like, you don't realize it.
Yeah, no, totally. And, you know, when I first came on the radio, I was obviously super green. Like, I didn't know anything about anything. So I got to shout out my program directors, Mariana Snyder and Michelle S. They pretty much, it took me a good 2 years to kind of really learn and get comfortable with the formula. And then it's funny because now, like, you know, on occasion when people do approach me about my mixes on the radio back in those days, like, it's not the way I played the obvious Hypnotize or Tupac or Snoop record. It's the records that I slipped through the cracks. It's the Slum Villages, the
Yeah,
Quasimodos.
dude.
Those are the ones that people remember.
Yeah.
And again, shout out my program directors because they were very patient with me. Which is a nice way of putting it because I definitely got pulled aside for pushing that boundary too far, like not really abiding by the rules, maybe going like a hit, then 2 records that were definitely not hits,
Yeah.
and then coming back with a hit, you know.
I remember the first time I heard like Players, the Slum Village record was you.
Yeah.
And then like Chalk would be really good at that too, because I remember listening to Chalk at night, and the first time I heard Simon Says, Pharoah Monch, and I would like listen, because I would record you guys and then have to go to the record store I worked at part-time, WP Records, and like see if he had it, like, or tell him like, yo, let's order these. Like, we need to get these records.
That was
and
all
like,
Fat
really
Beats,
go off
man.
of you.
All those joints, that was all Fat Beats.
Yeah,
back in the day,
bro.
in the
That
90s,
was,
for
Fat
sure.
Beats was so legendary.
Yeah, but the club stuff, I mean, going back to your question, for sure, like, you can get technically, sonically, you're going to get a lot more passes in the club on the loud system, people that are like a few drinks in. It's not going to resonate, like, when you're a little sloppy or off here and there, it's not going to resonate as much, and you can do a lot mic work, you can cover it up with whatever, you know what I mean? Radio, yeah, I mean, you're pretty much like, it's just going to translate 100%. Like, you know, what you give is what's going to be put out there.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, you know, it's like anything else. Like, you put your art out there, you open yourself up to criticism. And I definitely had nights where the record would skip on me at the beat, or maybe I practiced this little mix trick, you know, with this record, Outkast or whatever, and I didn't quite pull it off the way I was doing it at home. And I always recorded myself and listened back to it when I was driving home from the show on the beat. And but yeah, I mean,
I used to love your whenever you played like Drop It Like It's Hot. I knew a little mix trick juggling was coming.
Yeah. I mean, it's
you would
like,
extend the
beginning. Yeah.
You'd keep it going.
Beat Junkie style.
Yeah, bro.
Midnight Love was one that you used to kill. I used to always like
Koki used to kill Midnight Love.
Yeah.
He used to have a
He was ill.
yeah.
Yeah, Koki was ill.
I used to drive in like to visit my grandma, and I would record like, you know, whatever. And I was like, Melo's on, record. And there are nights where you just double.
Yeah.
Fuck, I wish you was just throwing the records up. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Do you still have some of your radio mixes?
I have all of them.
Dude,
I record every show.
Can you please?
Yeah. I need to
send me
digitize
some?
them. They're all in storage, but I have years of all those shows.
Damn.
Dude, please, like, I don't mean to rush you, but can you do that this week?
Can you do that?
Can you do that this week, please?
What are you doing tomorrow?
Yeah, what are you doing tomorrow? Oh, you're
We'll
gonna be
come
at
over
the
and
store.
help you.
So what are you doing later after this podcast? You're going to storage, right?
We're driving
All right,
storage, yeah.
I'll help you, seriously, bro. I want to hear those mixes. Like, it'll just bring back so many insane memories.
Yeah, they mean
that
to
was
do
the beginning
that.
for me, like DJ wise. So.
Not for sure. Yeah, I got to get over storage and go through my crates and stuff.
Well, Melo, man. Thank you so much, bro. I can't
No, thank you guys for
enough.
having me, man. So good to see you guys.
Go ahead and like let
Congrats
them
to
know.
you guys on all your
Oh,
success.
thank you, man. Trying to be like you.
Beasting these rooms out here. Man, I need to come to a FAED show.
Anytime.
Whenever
Whenever
you're in the poker room, I need to go play that game.
Dude, that
at the
too.
park.
Come on.
I want to be on TV.
Gambling Pete. I think I still have that. vibe.
He's around here somewhere. He's never
Go
too
boys.
far.
Doughboys.
Shout out to
Let them know where
Oh,
to,
yeah.
get more info on the school, your Instagram, etc.
Okay, so for info on our school, it's beatjunkiesound.com. Again, we have our online school, which is beatjunkies.tv, and then we also have a record pool,
Yep,
beatjunkies.com. So yeah,
Shout out to Cyber Kid.
shout out to Cyber. Yep, that's the workhorse right there. Big ups to him. Yeah, and shout out the whole crew and everybody, and just for again all the continued years of support and love, and hopefully we're around for another 2-3 decades. So
That's the goal.
Shout out to HMC.
Thank you, bro.
Scratchy, what up? I see you.
What up, Scratchy?